But he's a bit tricky. He's got a bit of a temper. Like
Well,
most
you
people.
use the following words to describe William. You say he's occasionally been over-assertive, can be difficult to handle, with aides approaching sensitive matters carefully. Despite his public...
He's a bit tricky. He came out as someone with quite a temper. Those aren't my words. Those are descriptions from people who've worked with Prince William closely. Words like over-assertive, difficult to handle, aides approach him carefully, and prone to mood swings. And tonight, we're diving into the story shaking the royal narrative at its core. Because the future king of the United Kingdom is facing a growing and undeniable storm of scrutiny surrounding his temper, his judgment, and what really happens behind palace walls. For years, the media sold the world one polished image of William: calm, stable, reliable, the ideal heir. But now, reporters, insiders, and major outlets across the globe are painting a very different picture. One that curiously matches everything Prince Harry has been saying for years. And this isn't gossip. It isn't rumour. It's a pattern. A consistent, documented pattern that the palace can no longer hide. Tonight, we connect the dots. The mainstream press refuses to connect how William's alleged temper, volatility and private outbursts have shifted from hushed whispers to mainstream reporting, and what that means for the future of the monarchy. If this is the man next in line, Britain has a much bigger problem than they want to admit. Let's get into it. For decades, William enjoyed one of the most protective media bubbles in the world. Reporters avoided his flaws, softened his mistakes, and dressed everything in gentle euphemisms like stubborn, strong-willed, determined. But now, major outlets, the New York Post, the Mirror, the Express, and respected royal correspondents like Robert Jobson use words like short-tempered, combative, difficult, volatile, emotionally unpredictable. This shift did not happen by accident. These reports aren't isolated. They match and reinforce one another, forming a consistent portrait of a man who struggles with anger and struggles even more with accountability. And these aren't fringe sources. These are the same outlets that usually defend the crown at all costs. So why change their tune now? Because the truth is getting harder to hide. When Harry revealed in Spare that William grabbed him, ripped his necklace and knocked him to the floor, the British media mocked him. They dismissed it as exaggeration or sibling roughhousing. But now that insiders are describing William using the same words, physical, aggressive, combative people are rethinking Harry's story. The pattern is too consistent, too repetitive, too widespread. Harry wasn't exposing William out of spite. He was exposing a system that refused to hold William accountable. And now even pro-palace media is catching up. The truth didn't change. The protection did. In March 2025, the New York Post dropped a stunning detail. Kate allegedly has to manage William's emotions and treat him like a fourth child. That one sentence reveals emotional instability, domestic tension dependency, and the palace relying heavily on Kate to keep him in check. Other outlets echoed the same theme. William is reportedly more difficult to work with than King Charles, a man famously known for being demanding. If insiders describe William as harder to handle than Charles, that speaks volumes. Even Queen Camilla, who is said to have a good relationship with William, has reportedly expressed concerns about his temper. And remember, this isn't Harry talking. This is the Windsor system itself leaking from the inside. In Jobson's new book, The Windsor Legacy, he paints a striking dynamic. Aides tread lightly around William Senior royals, gauge his mood before speaking. Disagreements escalate quickly. Even King Charles reportedly has to manage him. Think about that. The man expected to lead the nation allegedly has people assessing his emotional temperature before approaching him. That's not leadership. That's fragility dressed as authority. Jobson even noted that Charles related more easily to Harry, a painful detail that suggests William is not the natural diplomat the palace pretends he is. Reports from the Royal Observer and other outlets describe heated arguments between William and Kate, often triggered by William's temper. All couples argue true, but when the future monarch's private disputes are repeatedly described as intense, heated, or volatile, it becomes public business. His behaviour directly affects his ability to lead. The New York Post reported multiple episodes behind closed doors. William pointing fingers, raising his voice, rejecting compromise, insisting on control. This same dynamic allegedly surfaced when the Queen asked him to attend a hospice opening in 2022. His schedule allowed it. He declined. Queen Elizabeth II, disappointed, is said to have replied, "Isn't that what nannies and policemen are for?" Even she reportedly recognised the pattern and spoke it aloud. The British press invested years in selling William as the stable, dependable brother, the perfect future king. But the facade is cracking. Mainstream journalists now acknowledge internal tensions worried aides, and the palace quietly managing expectations. William has resisted taking on more responsibility. And according to insiders, his temperament may not withstand the pressure of kingship. Even pro-monarchy writers like Jobson and Tom Sykes are no longer sugarcoating things. When King Charles's health concerns emerged and when Kate stepped away due to illness, William did not step up as the public expected. Staff reportedly found him withdrawn, overwhelmed, resistant for a future king. That is a major red flag. The question is no longer, is William popular enough to be king? It is now, is William emotionally stable enough to be king? Because leadership isn't about glossy PR campaigns or perfectly edited documentaries. Leadership is emotional maturity, communication, judgment, stability under pressure, accountability. And by these metrics, the reports suggest William is struggling. When you compare the two brothers side by side, Harry, calm, steady, experienced under-pressure service, driven, emotionally grounded. William, temperamental, volatile, resistant to responsibility, unpredictable. You start to understand the real fear. The palace wasn't afraid of Meghan. They weren't afraid of California. They weren't afraid of Netflix. They were afraid of the comparison. They were afraid the public would notice who the real leader was. That's why William was protected so aggressively. Because without that protection, the world would have seen this version of him years ago. Now the truth is catching up. With King Charles and Princess Catherine both facing serious health battles, the monarchy desperately needs stability. But instead of stability, the institution has a Prince of Wales whose volatility is no longer a rumour, it's a headline. Even with decades of protection, the palace can't stop the leaks. And now the world is asking, is Prince William truly ready for the crown? Or has the institution been carrying him all along? If you found this breakdown insightful and want more deep dives into royal dynamics, make sure you like the video and subscribe for more pro-Harry and Meghan content. Share your thoughts in the comments. Your engagement is what keeps this channel growing. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.